Okay, so corruption is simply dishonest conduct by those in power, and what I mean by those in power is like bosses or what do you call 'em? Like the government and the head of the ministries of countries and people like that, people that have authority and are in control of like a community. Okay, so the most common type of corruption that people do is simply the government takes tax and then they put it into their own bank account. So they don't put it into like the country's bank account or whatever, but they just put it into their own account. Okay, so this is an example of corruption, and this issue involves PTT. So PTT is an oil drilling company owned by the government that drills oil in Thailand, and then what PTT does is they export almost all the oil to other countries in the ASEAN, and if they export almost all the oil that is left is not enough to power all the cars and all the homes in Thailand. So they have to import the oil from the other countries in the ASEAN. Now, if I haven't mentioned, this oil has very high quality, and the oil here has kind of low quality. So, of course, if you have good stuff, then and well, you can sell it at a higher price. And if you have lower grade stuff, you have to sell it at a lower price. That's kind of like the rules of economics. So, what happens is they export almost all of the oil from Thailand, and then they import a lot of oil from the ASEAN. Well, other countries in the ASEAN. Now, there's a profit there, right? So that profit goes into the government, and then what the government does with it is it goes into the people in the government's bank accounts, not the country's bank account, like the people in the government's bank account, like their personal bank account. And if you buy oil from Shell or Caltex in Thailand, not other countries, they buy oil from PTT because PTT right now is the only oil like driller in Thailand. That's how you say it. Okay, so there's another example of corruption, and this involves the rice pledging scheme. Now, what the rice pledging scheme is it's like a system where farmers sell the rice to the government, and the government sells that rice to people in the cities like Bangkok or Samut Prakan or cities like that have people, like a lot of people in them. So this is bad, actually, because the farmers don't even know, like, if the government sells it at like a higher price or something. So, like, the farmers don't have control of that. That's why it's kind of bad. So, what this issue is mainly about is the Democrats and the currently elected party. I don't know what the party is called, but they were arguing if they should end this rice pledging scheme because the Democrats say there are more opportunities for corruption. Well, why did they say that? Because, the government always corrupts. Well, the point is they won't get any money from the project. So then that's why they're trying to think of any excuse to just, like, get rid of it. Well, the currently elected party said that it will raise the economy. Sorry, I forgot to write that down. It will raise the economy. Well, why did they say that? Because they're the only people who get any money from it. That's why. Well, corruption, if you want to stop it, there's already a law that corruption is illegal, but authorities just like ignore it, like the court. So that's why I wrote this down. Corruption can only be prevented by removing the government. As I said, corruption is illegal. So these guys, forgot to write that down, they are the government. Well, the government is not one person, right? There's like, just like, a symbolic representation of that. So the government hires the authorities, or also known as court. That's, well, it's not exactly also as known as, but it's kind of like court is part of authorities. It's kind of like that. So if they want to go to court, then they don't have to mind because, like, they already hired them. Well, they don't want to go to court, but if they have to go to court, kind of like that. Now, this is a visual representation of how it goes, and the government wins, of course, because the government already hired the court. The court. That's why. And this actually is very, like, it's very unfair because these accusers are normal citizens. And see, they're happy, they're sad. Makes sense. Well, that means that we have to take out the government. But that's actually quite bad because if you take out the whole entire government, and I'll tell you, the whole entire government, well, like 70% or something like that, they corrupt. So if we want to take out the government, that's good. No more corruption. But the other side, that's really bad. No public facilities at all. What I mean by that is no water, no electricity, no oil, no public facilities, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything shuts down. You can't make passports. You can't buy cars. You can't get license plates. Everything shuts down. There are no police, which just sucks. No.